My name is Rahama, and I believe that the shea butter products we use has the potential to impact the lives of hundreds of thousands of women in Africa. Because women in Africa are the traditional processors of shea butter. They're the ones for generations that harvest the raw material, which is the fruit, bring it into their communities, and produce shea butter by following a traditional handmade process. But now that shea butter has become this rave in skin and hair care, women in Africa are the ones who are not making money. They're the ones who are making pennies, although their work and their labor is part of a multi-billion-dollar industry. After I finished college, I worked at the American Embassy in Burkina Faso. And during that time, I was doing research on income-generating activities for women. And that's the first time, even though I'm from northern Ghana, I never knew that shea butter, this wonderful product that I had used, came from Africa. I never knew that women in Africa were the traditional processors. They're the ones who would go harvest the fruit, bring it into their communities, make shea butter, and use it not only for themselves, but as a way to generate a little bit of money to buy food and to just take care of their daily needs. And so during the summer of 2002, interviewing and meeting different women's groups, I felt disenchanted. Why were these women who were, for decades, the traditional processors, why weren't they making any money? I didn't understand it, because I knew I could, in the US, I could go to a store and get shea butter and pay $20 for it, $15 for it. So why were these women barely making pennies? And so after I spent time in Burkina Faso, I lived in Mali for 2 years, and it was the same situation. Women in the village that I lived in had a lot of burdens in terms of being able to care for themselves. There are a lot of health disparities, yet they produced this product that could potentially be a viable source of income. And so when I came back to the US, the end of 2004, I decided I wanted to do something and change it. I felt so strongly that what was happening with the trade of this product, with the trade of shea butter, was wrong. I felt that something had to change. If these women were in a situation where they were part of a process and they were just not benefiting from that process, I needed to bridge the gap. I needed to help shea butter producers connect directly to consumers so that they could start benefiting financially from the trade of this product. So I started Shea Yeleen International in 2005, and our mission is really simple. We help shea butter producers bring high quality products to the US market as a way to support a living wage for shea butter producers. And what we do is we provide training. We help women with getting access to the right production equipment and tools to make shea butter. We import the shea into the US, and we create a skincare line based with shea butter as a way to help women generate money so that they can take care of their families. In the summer of 2011, Shea Yeleen International was selected by the Smithsonian Folklife Festival to participate in the annual Folklife Festival. And so I know that might not seem like a lot, but what happened was we were able to have 3 women from northern Ghana in the shea cooperative that we work with come to Washington, D.C. and share their experiences as shea producers and actually demo the entire process of producing shea butter to a national audience. Over 1 million people attend the Folklife Festival every year. I mean, the women who came, they did not have birth certificates, they didn't have passports, they never even traveled to Accra, the capital of Ghana. And now, here for the first time in their lives, they're on a plane and flying across the ocean to come to Washington, D.C. It was an incredible experience. It was an experience that I never would have in my wildest dreams have come up with, because not only was it an opportunity for the very first time to have shea butter producers in the US to talk directly to the public, to talk about their challenges, to talk about how they produce this product, to give themselves visibility. Because one of the things about the shea industry is that we never see the women in Africa. We see shea butter on a lot of jars and containers, but we don't see the face behind shea butter. And the face behind shea butter is a woman in Africa. There's nowhere no way anywhere in the world you can get a shea butter product and a woman in Africa was not a part of the process. It's impossible. Women in Africa are an integral part of the process. And so for these women to come and be able to interact directly with people who love shea butter, people who use shea butter, it was an incredible experience. It was such a great experience that in less than 10 days, Shea Yeleen was able to sell over $30,000 worth of shea butter products made with shea butter from women in Africa. It was awesome. It was so great. This is how I'm gonna pay it forward. I'm going to help a budding entrepreneur, a budding social entrepreneur get their idea from ground zero to actual implementation and getting it from a startup phase to actually being something that's viable and that will be successful. When I first started Shea Yeleen, it really was through trial and error. I did not know the first thing I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to change what was happening to women shea producers. I knew it was wrong. There's something wrong about any sort of industry or sector that feeds off of vulnerable people, or that because those people are unable to speak for themselves, they don't get a chance to actually benefit from what's happening in that sector. And so for me, I was driven by wanting to change something that I thought was wrong. And I really didn't know how I was gonna do it. So it was a lot of trial and error. I would go down a certain path, that wouldn't work. I would try something else, that wouldn't work. And so it just seemed like because I was so persistent, things eventually started coming together. And so I understand some of the challenges that someone who's in that idea phase has from getting their idea into a structure that can actually work. And I would like to pay it forward by providing any sort of support, guidance, and giving my lessons learned to an individual who wants to be a radical leader and change something that's happening in this world, something bad that's happening in this world.